And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Dome for the Holidays. Here, it's a brand new thing that we've got, and man, I don't know a better thing to call it when you're spending the holidays down in the Superdome. That's pretty good. Welcome in from Gridiron Football, our buddy Jace LeJeune. Jace, what's happening?
Nothing much, Doug. Like you said, Dome for the Holidays. That's awesome. It's an awesome name for it.
Look,
That's
I get so there's our I don't know if you can see it or not. That's our hoodies
awesome.
that are there. Dome for the Holidays. We've got out had a big order on those, and we're blessed with that. But yeah, we thought it hit home pretty good.
Oh yeah, and congratulations. That's awesome for the Trojans. What year they've had? It's been a great run this year, especially going through that district
Yeah,
undefeated and just carrying that over into the playoffs where they had an awesome run and now I just saw them last week, but to see and the car and Ash, a lot of teams saying the best two teams in the state going at it. It's going to be a fun one in the Superdome.
it's the one thing about it. You've got a tradition of car. It's close, so you're going to have a lot of people there without a doubt. And it's the first time that now there was something going around that it was the Trojans' first ever trip to the Superdome, which is in fact true. But it's their second attempt at a state title. So they're hungry for it. But the last year they went was in 20, which was the COVID year, and it was up at Northwestern. So the only time they went to the Dome, they didn't get to go to the Dome. And so you've got all of that excitement of haven't been there and haven't done that. So Alexandria is going to travel pretty well down to New Orleans.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like you mentioned, the last time that they were in the state championship, they were really one play away of really winning the game. You
Yeah.
remember the 2 point conversion attempt, and I think it was intercepted by with Terrence Welsh, who ended up signing with LSU. But
But
that was
if you go back to the play prior to that, you remember Ash was down 2 scores late
mhm,
in the game. They score, get an onside kick, which they had got a number of those, go down and score with just a little bit of time on the clock, and everybody thought that the game was over anyway.
mhm,
And Judd throws it to Shield Taylor, who
yeah,
Judd's the every week seems like he's a player of the week where he's at, and Shield finishing off a great career out at Stanford. Those two hooked up, but it was a false start penalty, 2 men in motion,
remember
and
that.
and it was just a split second. But it was a legitimate penalty, and the very next one they backed up, and instead of kicking the extra point, goes for two. And look, Terrence Welch does pick that off. And I mean, look, I can't remember why I went from the living room to the kitchen, but I can remember that like it was yesterday.
Oh yes, I definitely remember that game, and it just seemed like Doug, you've been a part of it every step of the way this year, so you can say it better than anybody. But this year's Trojans team, it seems like they've every test that they've had this year. It's like everybody was questioning them. Can they beat Ruston? Like they passed that test. I mean, Western Road. I know Western Road didn't have as great of a year as they usually have, but it's still the brand, right? It's still Western Road. Can you beat them? Check. You passed that test. Neville at the end of the season. Check. You passed that test. Again in the year, you had Desherhan. I mean, you passed that one. And just on and on and on. And now they got another one. And this is the final exam coming up. And it's the toughest exam of them all. We got that in the car in the Superdome. But man, I'm so excited to cover that one. That's gonna be an awesome game.
It is going to be a lot of fun. And you go back, the Trojans are sitting at 13-0. Roll through there. Three defending state champions were on the schedule this year, and Ash beat all three of them. You talk about Union, you talk about Opelousas, and then Ruston as
Mhm.
well. And champions, I don't care what division it is, they're still champions. And so the last team to beat the Trojans, do you know which team that was?
So last year, so who they end up losing to last year?
In the quarterfinals at Nakar.
In the car. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Correct.
Right.
So that's the last team to beat the Trojans is Edna Carr. And that was a game not without a little controversy at the end of it, too, on that onside kick
Mhm. Yep.
that nobody really knew who had the ball. And Trojans come out of there with the ball, and it's awarded over there. But that's last year. That's a different, that's just a different ball game. It is, but that's just a little caveat for you as the Trojans
Yep.
roll through this schedule. And it's not been without some battles. And that's one thing that we want to kind of talk about tonight, are some of the different things maybe that we've seen through the year. Because I saw you this morning talking. There's been a lot of talk about the schedules and people that get to places. And what we want to do as people are starting to climb on, don't forget, you can type a comment in or a question. And if your question pops up on there, then Jace or myself will try to answer it for you. If you've got a comment, this is kind of the show about everybody on there. But this season was without its challenges. That Opelousas game, the Trojans had to come back and score with just seconds back on the clock to win that one 43-40. And that Opelousas club's a great ball club. So it's been a lot of fun. The Ruston game was good. The Neville game was one of those that it was probably the biggest crowd that we'd seen in a while. So there were a lot of things going on. But we'll look at Ash some in the past. I want to go back a little bit and let's talk about that game, because you called that game for VSN with Catholic High and Edna Carr. And anytime I hear somebody say Catholic High, what do y'all say?
About Catholic High?
Yeah.
About Go Bears?
That's I hear. Look,
Bears,
I heard you and Moscona talking the other day or a couple of weeks ago, and both of you must be Catholic High guys.
Oh yeah,
because there was Go Bears aplenty in that. But I watched y'all's highlight, and you did a great job putting together that, what was it, 14, 15-minute highlight reel that really showed the game in its earnest. But tell us about it.
Yeah, it was a lot to unwind, and I was really grateful for the opportunity to call that for VSN. I called VSN for Episcopal all season long, and so when they got eliminated in the playoffs, losing the really good Calvary Baptist football team, you usually have an open spot where you can announce maybe for one of the other VSN schools, and I got the opportunity to call that Catholic High game because of Dixon McMakin, who's usually the normal voice of the Catholic High Bears, could not be able to call that one as his wife got awarded a local Emmy. So obviously he had to go and support his wife. I had the pleasure and the opportunity. I really appreciate Catholic High reaching out to me and giving me the opportunity to call that game because I knew how big of a game it was. So I appreciate them, and I appreciate their trust in me to call the game. And hopefully the listeners enjoyed it. But it was a great football game. Edna Carr, obviously, these are, when we talk about two of the biggest brand names in Louisiana high school football over the last 10 years, we talk about Catholic High and we talk about Edna Carr. And
right,
that these two teams can play against each other for a right to go to the Superdome, it's going to be a classic game, and it was. And it was a heavyweight fight, Doug. I mean, Edna Carr laid the first punches first. They scored on the deep touchdown pass from John Johnson to Dejon Smith, and they took a 7-0 lead, but Catholic responded, and they got the lead 12-7 with a late first half touchdown strike from Turner Goldsmith to Amari Clayton, and that gave Catholic High a 12-7 lead at halftime. And then the third quarter was all in the car. They scored basically 14 unanswered points against Catholic. John Johnson's legs proved to be the difference, scoring 2 rushing touchdowns. And the car built up a 21-12 lead. Catholic scored late off of their very nice drive to pull within 2, but the Car's defense sealed the deal. They got stopped late in the football game. Catholic got their chances, but the Car was able to capitalize and make a couple more plays than Catholic did. But it was a heavyweight fight for both teams, and you knew that you could tell that these are two championship caliber teams going against each other. The product on the field was awesome. The environment was insane. Everybody was standing up the entire time, and the Car's band was playing the entire time. It was an awesome atmosphere to be at a high school football game. I believe everybody was there. That was anybody, and it didn't disappoint. It was a heavyweight fight, and the Car has 3 big-time receivers. They have an LSU signee, they have a Tulane signee, and Louisiana Tech signee. Catholic High did a great job of shutting down the LSU guy, Teron Francis. They did a great job of shutting down the Tulane guy and Oliver Mitchell, but it was the Louisiana Tech guy that got him. It was Dejon Smith. I mean, he really went off, had over 120 yards and a touchdown reception, and he was the X factor. Him and John Johnson offensively, they just got enough of their offense, and the Cards defense was flying all over the football field. So this is a great football team, not with a lot. They don't really have a lot of weaknesses, and this the Card team impresses me the most, not only because of their talent, but this team never panics. I mean, they take on the personality their head coach Bryce Brown, which is that they never panicked. I never at one point I thought that they panicked the entire game. So that's why they're a championship team. Not only because they have a lot of great athletes. You go across the board, all the guys going to play Division I college football on their football team, but they are a disciplined group and they're well coached, and that's a pretty dangerous combination when you got a lot of really good athletes that are well coached.
Well, indeed it is, and it shows on that. Anytime Coach Brown has a team like that, we've always seen. We saw the game. There was not a bit of panic, and you say that, Adam, and all, and composure. We've seen things happen. In the Ash game Friday night with John Curtis, they're all wrong. There's no score. 5 minutes to go in the game, or in the first half. The Trojans score their touchdown. And then the next kickoff goes off the young man's helmet. Trojans get it back, and it's 14-0 in about 30 seconds of gameplay. And boy, that can change the way a game goes. Momentum is really something in football.
Oh, it certainly is. I mean, it happened. I mean, in that game, momentum swings can happen. I mean, the first quarter, it was in the cars. I mean, and the car was in control. Then Catholic got the momentum back, and then and the car got the momentum in the third quarter. Catholic came clawing back in the fourth, and the car shut down late in the fourth. So it's about momentum swings, and at this time of the year, Doug, everybody's good. Everybody in the playoffs are good. So since you're able to see that, I mean, it's going to come down to the team that handles those roller coasters and those emotions better than the other team can. So that's what it came down to. And really, Doug, I noticed this throughout the scores, and I was also talking about Grant's show as well, that a lot of these games came down to special teams.
Right.
We talked about. So everybody's good now, Doug. It just comes down to the point of like, what team is able to make those extra 3 or 4 plays that's going to be the difference from winning or losing the football game.
Look, you talk about special teams. Is there ever been a more bad beat in the semifinals than what Neville took?
Oh, yes.
That's got to be brutal.
Yes, absolutely. It was brutal. And in that game, we were talking about it, and I actually picked Central to win the football game, and I thought I was kind of alone in that sentiment. But I thought they matched up well with Neville. They both teams are like looking at a mirror. I mean,
Right.
they're really good, good quarterback play, and they got some good weapons offensively, but they're strong defensively. I think that's what both teams really hang their hat on is their defense, and it showed there. And that was a perfect example, right? I'm talking about bad beats. It looked like Neville was going to put them up by 6 points with the field goal, and in that game, it's still a one possession game. It's a touchdown game if you kick the field goal, but the way the defenses were playing, that felt huge. If you can get a field goal here and force the other team to score a touchdown on you, just how good the defenses have been playing. But now, I mean, the whole game shifts when you block a field goal and turn the other way back. Instead of being up by 6, you're down by 4. So a big shift in the momentum there, and Central was able to really carry that into the state championship. What a year for Coach Semino. He's actually led 3 different teams now to state championships. 2 were actually in the Superdome. The third was at Catholic High, and I believe that was when they played at Human Stadium when they played.
Yep, that's right.
So, but still, I mean, it shows you what good coach David Simmons is.
Let me ask you this: and Central's that good ball club. Ruston went through that little issue that they had in the middle of the season, but again, it's still, folks got to remember, 2-5A is a gauntlet. They talked about West Monroe having a bad or a down year, but when you're playing Ruston and Neville and it's and Ash, it's tough in that district this year to come out of it good. But look, you got to win up in West Monroe, or it's tough on you. But do you think, what is your outlook? And we'll stay away from the Edna Carr Ash because we're on here. But what is your take on Ruston Central? Do you think that it's Ruston back-to-back?
I think so. And even though I picked Central I know a lot of people had Neville advancing to the Dome. I actually had Central when the bracket was released. This was actually this bracket maybe looks somewhat good, Doug. Usually these other brackets didn't, with the amount of upsets and the amount of teams that won throughout the playoffs. But this bracket actually made me look good because I picked Ruston and Central to play in the state championship, and I have to go with Ruston because of they've been there before. Not only they won it last year, they're in the dome the previous year as well when they lost to Destrehan. They got a
Yep.
great coach and Coach Ball. I mean, when you have an NFL All-Pro like LSU legend as your defensive coordinator too.
That goes a long way. Kyle Williams is, he's a monster there when it comes defensively. All right, let's shift gears a little bit. I do want to talk some about the Gridiron Bowl. It's just a couple of weeks away. But
No,
before we do that, let's talk about maybe something, because you do what is it, Ascension Episcopal football? Is
I
that
do
right?
Episcopal High School in Baton Rouge, so that's
Okay.
right.
What did you look? Coach Taylor's on here too.
Awesome,
He popped
JT.
in there. Good to see him. Well, I think we'll see him down in Baton Rouge as well. But so let's look back at just the season for you guys and some of the travels that you've done as well. Is there a spot that hopped out at you that said, you know what, we enjoyed going here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at some games. Usually at Episcopal, it's kind of tough to go on the road a lot of times because usually when VSN games have road games, it's usually up to the home team. So they're allowing us to call the games. I would say Calvary Baptist this year. That was a fun travel. Actually had to make that in the semi. That was a quarterfinal matchup, and
Another bad beat for a team too with
yeah.
Calvary this weekend.
Oh, I know, and that shocked me. Just
Yeah.
how good this Calvary offense is. I saw it in person, and it's a cool place to play football at. Friendly fans, and the travel was great. It was fun hanging around with the team and all that for Episcopal. It was all fun until kickoff happened, and
Right.
when they really put it on Episcopal. But just so much talent. We talked about James Simon. I mean, the Texas signee over there at running back, and behind him, you got Air Force committed at running back and Abram Wardell at quarterback. But the guy that really killed Episcopal was a sophomore, Braylon Huglon. He was the guy that really beat them, and he's probably their best player, which is saying a lot when you got a Texas signee at running back. But that's how good this team was, and for Catholic New Iberia to beat them, what a run they've had because they beat Newman the week before.
Off of a state title last year and doing what they did this year. Yeah.
Yeah, so the run that they're on, this Catholic New Iberia team, they're not going to be intimidated when they play Dunham because they've already faced Calvary Baptist, defending state champions. They already faced Newman on the road, so that state championship game is going to be fun. But I would say your question, the fun road trip this year, that I didn't have many this year, but the Calvary Baptist trip was pretty fun to see football. I don't go up there that often, so anytime I go up there and watch some good football up in Shreveport and watch this Calvary Baptist team and go to the stadium for the first time, that was a cool experience.
Well, that's exciting. Look, we were at home a lot this year. We faced Destrehan. This makes for a very difficult 25 season, but we had Destrehan at home, we had Ruston at home, had West Monroe at home, and had Neville at home. And that's great this year, but that just means that we'll be on the road. But our number one plan was, our best road trip that there was Opelousas, because we had the opportunity to get down to Mama's Fried Chicken.
Mama's Chicken. You have to hit that.
We did. Coach Jimmy Zachary, and we talked about him when we interviewed Coach Zachary. And I told him, I said, look, we're coming down early for gizzards and livers and all that. He says, don't worry about it. We'll have a full spread up there for you. And look, folks took care of us this year. I'll tell you that it was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, Mama's Chicken. I ate there a couple of years ago when I went down to Opelousas, and that's probably the best fried chicken I've ever had. I mean,
without a doubt,
chicken down there, and that's a great place to be at. So, I'm kind of jealous, Doug, of the games that y'all called this year. Anytime, you talked about the whole list. And to be undefeated in those games this year, I bet it was a fun season to call Trojans football, especially with the season y'all had and the type of games y'all had. It seemed like every week y'all had a big game this year.
And when we talked to Coach Bachman and talked to all of the guys on there, the biggest game, and I hate to, I'll drop right back into Coach speak, and normally announcers don't do that, but I'll do it with that big one looming. But they would tell you that every week was the most important week. And a lot of times, and this is no disrespect to anybody that they played, but it was, wasn't a concern who the opponent was. It was a concern of what they were going to do. But opened up the season down in St. Francisville at West Feliciana. And that was a great ball game. They jumped out big in that one. And that's the difference. The Trojans got started. But the Francis Smokehouse is down there. And a lot of these trips I'll just associate with food that's down there. But that's the way that goes. But you get up to Farmerville in Union Parish. And then finally, week 3, we're able to come home. That was a Destrehan game. And they, it went well in that one without a doubt. And of course, you had Manny. Manny's down this year.
Yeah.
And I think with Manny being down was the one thing that kept Ash from being the number 1 seed, because they were just percentage points behind Edna Carr this year. And then you got Opelousas in there, so that's there. And then you've got the defending state champs that are there, 2 of them in Opelousas and Union. Oh, and then you jump into District 258 with West Monroe and Pineville and Ouachita, and games would get over with early, and they just came out like a young Mike Tyson, just beating up on folks early, and and you look around and the clock's running, and they're really good, because as a defensive coordinator, what are you going to do? Are you going to come up to stop JT Lindsay, who is arguably one of the best running backs in the country? And we'll see what a backfield that LSU is going to have next year with the young guys they've got. But so you stack the box and try to shut Lindsay down. Well, then you got the sophomore quarterback Sellers and Gassett that are able to spread the ball around to Washington, to Jimmy Duncan, to Alex Fontenot. And then you saw the man that caught the touchdown pass Friday night, Tanner Townsend, the senior tight end. It's difficult to scheme against them. So it made for a fun year.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people don't realize about this team, is that it's like, oh, they must just be a JT Lindsay heavy run team, and they are, but like they could throw it. I mean, you mentioned 2 of those receivers, Darius Washington and Jimmy Duncan. Those are 2 Gridiron football All-American commits that are in the bowl game. So they can definitely throw the football. I mentioned Carson Sellers and Max. And, they got 2, not only 1 good quarterback, they got 2 good
That's
quarterbacks.
right.
And you've seen how this defense has gotten better over the course of the season. I mean, to hold Evangel to 6 points, and that quarterback 6 points, that was really impressive to me. And this team has just gotten better and better and more confident over the season. And the schedule that they've had and go undefeated in that schedule. I know they went to our media day, and I saw the guys Coach Botman brought in. And I'm like, okay, this could be a squad this year with the guys he brought in. But I didn't think just because of the schedule. I was like, okay, like this could be a team that can go maybe 7-3, 8-2, and be like really scary in the playoffs because of their team. But man, to go undefeated with that team this year and make it to the Superdome, that's definitely on the top of my list. I'm unfortunately I'm going to miss the first game on the first day, which is Vermilion Catholic and Ouachita Christian, because we got a big important meeting we got to attend to. But I know Alex will be covering that game for us. But I'll be down there the rest of the game. But that game for certain is definitely on the top of my list. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch those. The Vermilion Catholic quarterback, I think, is the one that just set the passing record, touchdown record.
Yep, he did.
That's good.
Record by Jawan Johnson, I believe.
That's right. You go back to your talk on Jimmy Duncan and Darius Washington. Darius, of course, will be down there. Jimmy, for sure, will as well. But you go Northwestern signing class. All they had, Northwestern State had 5 spots open because the year before they had the issues that they had in South Pro. So you didn't have seniors leaving. But Northwestern picked up Jimmy Duncan. He signed his papers on Wednesday. They picked up Ben Taylor, the quarterback from Airline, and they picked up two running backs, one from Ruston, I believe, too, and a big linebacker out of the Hammond area. So small in number, but got some quality out of there, did Coach McCorkle in that group at Northwestern, including Jimmy Duncan.
Yeah, you're right. And Northwestern, I know when he got the job, I knew like good things could be in store for the Demons. He did a lot of stuff, obviously, at Belhaven, but this is a really good class. When you get Ben Taylor, he threw for, I don't know, a gazillion yards in his high school football career. and then give them some of those weapons like Jimmy Duncan. They're having a pretty good class, and really, I mean, I think Louisiana Tech's going to be pretty excited too because I saw Dejon Smith down there around the car in the previous game, and when you have an LSU guy and a Tulane guy, it was the Louisiana Tech guy that impressed me the most. So he's going to be a really good addition. You got Jackson Bradley as well from Oak Grove, who's always been a great football player too. So these Louisiana teams are getting a lot of really good talent in state, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good talent, and that's why our Gridiron Football Bowl game, we were able to get a lot of really good talent. I mean, we talked about last year, Jacorian Norris. I mean, not a lot of people were on Jacorian Norris last
Right.
year. He balls out in the ball game from Tioga, and the Raging Cajuns saw his film and came away very impressed and offered him a scholarship. And you got a lot of diamonds in the rough, and that's why Andy, there's a pretty special, pretty crazy ass series he puts up on Ground Football with a Diamond in the Rough series because it's true. You got a lot of diamonds in the rough in Louisiana, especially, and definitely out the state. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of talent, and if you can recruit in state in Louisiana and get a lot of these guys, that'll set up pretty good for your football program.
It is. Let's unpack that Gridiron Football Bowl game a little bit. And, last year, of course, Trojans go out in the quarterfinal round, I believe. And so I had a little bit extra time to prepare for it. This time, seems like we're going to get back from New Orleans, and it will be time to get going again with that game. The rosters have always been full. Where are you guys sitting at with that?
I think we're as far as ahead as we've ever been with the roster,
Wow.
especially this year. And in fact, if you're a skill position player, quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, unfortunately, you can't play because we're full at those spots.
Goodness gracious.
A quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end. So we're still looking for offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, and secondary guys. But we got a lot of great talent. I mean, in terms of the offensive skill talent, I think it's the best since I've been a part of it in terms of the running back position, the quarterback position, and we got a lot of great commitments. The running back position, we got some of the best in the entire state. We talk about it. We have Chad Elsie from Ascension Catholic. He is the real deal at the running back position. We got Macon Leonard from Washita Christian at running back as well. We got Rajon Zeno from Jennings. He's a really good one. And then James Taylor's nephew, Jalen Nichols, as well from Neville.
How about that?
So we got a really good backfield. The biggest commitment we got right now, the biggest name is Kyle Johnson from Bunkie. And him and Dylan Compton, quarterback, will be playing in the bowl game. So to have a Mississippi State signee from SEC signee in the game, we were super excited about that. We're really thrilled about that. We're looking forward to having him down there. But we got players from Texas right now.
How about the New Mexico kid? We first ever competitor from New Mexico.
Yes, we have a first ever competitor from New Mexico, and we're going to have some thrilling news as well. We haven't broken it just yet. We will on our website.
What better place to do it than Dome for the Holidays? That's a great.
Okay, I'll say it right here because I know y'all call y'all games as well. Our bowl game. So I'll announce it here, Doug. But we have our first.
Hang on. I feel like I should have a drum roll or something. Chuck back in the studio. Do you have any sort of a drum roll or anything for this? This is breaking news that only heard first. I don't guess we do. So we don't. Anyway, no more pomp and circumstance. Then let's hear the big news.
Yeah. So in fact, we actually have, believe it or not, our first female Gridiron Football All-American Bowl game commit, and she is a kicker from Escambia High School in Pensacola, Florida. Her name is Morgan, and she has been the Gators' place kicker all season long, and she's been really good. I mean, she's been an awesome place kicker this year. So we actually have our first ever female Gridiron Football American Bowl game commit, and we're super excited about that news.
And that, if I had to pick a place that she came from, it'd be Escambia because they bring a lot of folks over here and a very talented group. And that's great to see. That young lady is coming over there. And what kind of work has she done this year?
She's been good. I mean, she's been their extra point kicker, and she's kicked some field goals as well. So it's not like they put her in just extra point situations. She's kicked field goals as well, and she's a really good soccer player. So that's obviously translated to football, and they line up for field goals with her, and like she drills them. So we're going to let her showcase that talent. I think it's pretty cool that we get her involved and show that, hey, inspire a lot of the young ladies out there that, hey, they can play with the big boys. So and
Well,
that's what
look, you absolutely heard it here first, too. That's fantastic. We appreciate that breaking news. Female place kicker out of Escambia, Florida, is going to be coming in. Last year, you had a couple of kids come in north of the border out of Canada. What's the furthest? Is New Mexico there? Do you have some more from up north
we
coming?
want to try get some Canada guys again. I'm talking to their coach right now and seeing we can get some guys from up there. I actually probably going to check this week to see what the status is on that. But as of right now, it would be New Mexico. Now we have New Mexico, and I think we might have somebody not confirmed yet. So don't quote me just yet, but that we are working on. I think there might be a kid from New Jersey that comes down as well, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. But we've got some players from all across the country. We're kind of expanding it more and more as we speak. Obviously, majority of the players from the bowl game are from Louisiana, is what you expect. But we're sprinkling in a lot of different representatives. I know we got a player from Oklahoma. He's been there he's actually their all district offensive MVP tight end. About 6'2", 6'3" tight end. That's been really good from Oklahoma. Bringing Oklahoma involved this year. So a lot of great talent around the South.
You talk about the bowl game and what a great game it is, but deeper than that, the ministry that goes on with it, the 7-on-7 that's there is not a game. It's on there. There's devotionals that are there. Yeah. It's more about it's as much about developing the kid as it is anything, and letting them know what's important in life, and that you better, as Gabe Northern said, better have a plan B and a plan C. Gabe was amazing last year.
He was. I'll just buy a ticket just to hear him talk. I mean, he was amazing last year, and we're going to have some great speakers. That's always going to be an event we're always going to have, and then we're also going to have really a lot of people coming in as well. Talk about like the FCA. Fellowship of Christian Athletes are coming in and talking to the kids as well. And last year, I mean, just what got me more excited than the game, there's only about one thing that got me more excited than the game itself. It was these kids from all over the place just bond like that.
That's right.
I mean, that's what got me most excited. We had 3 linebackers, Doug, and you remember them. One from Canada, one from Alabama, and one from Calvary Baptist in Shreveport. And
they were
all friends. I mean, it was unbelievable to see.
They would hit and hit and hit those guys that would come and do that. And what was great about it is, when we had our media night, I think we interviewed probably every kid that was on the roster, some of the junior high kids too. Got to know a lot of the parents, and we got to know a lot of those guys. And it's just, man, they're just looking for these kids. Just want that opportunity, because with that stupid transfer portal and that ridiculous NIL, man, these kids, these high school kids, if you're not a superstar, you're gonna get left out of the cracks. You're gonna get missed.
Yeah, you are. And like I said, there are a lot of diamonds in the rough. And Andy, I talked to Andy a lot, but it's really the smaller schools that are benefiting the most from the Gridiron game. I mean, if you're a Centenary, if you're a Louisiana Christian, if you're a Belhaven, or we had Wayne State from Nebraska. Their coach flew down from Nebraska just to watch the practices. He had a list of names from our bowl game that he was already looking at and just want to watch them practice. So it draws a lot of different coaches, and really, and I agree with Andy. Like, if you get the opportunity to play college football anywhere, doesn't matter the level, take advantage of it because of what you just said. Because if there's one positive thing about the transfer portal, it is those guys have the ability to move up. And so you can start at a Louisiana Christian, or you can start at a Belhaven and work your way up to potentially maybe a FCS school or Division I school. And that's the beauty. That's the good thing about the transfer portal. So this is a great opportunity for kids that maybe get passed over in the recruiting process because of the transfer portal. We're just trying to get those proven guys that 10 years ago, like a guy like Ja'Cory Norris, he probably would have been an LSU guy about 10 years ago.
That's right.
Because of how the day and age of college football is. So this is an opportunity for kids that get that slip between the cracks for whatever reason, that they get a chance to be seen and compete against other players that are also all district, all state type of players, and see if they thrive and stand out. And those are the guys that get looked at, and those are guys that have the opportunity of playing the next level. And I mean, we've had a high success rate with our bowl game. I believe 98% of kids that came to the bowl game went on to play at the college level. So this is a great opportunity for them to get seen and for them to get their name out there one final time.
And you had a player in the game last year that was deaf also.
Yeah.
And I think he was a linebacker as well, if I remember that correctly. And we talked to him some, and of course, we certainly, the communication was there, but he had to be looking to see what was going on with it. But he was his motor ran as high as anybody's did out there.
Yeah, because these kids, and these are good kids too. I mean, and that's what's great about it. Not only seeing these athletes on the football field, but a lot of them, they're just great kids. They all come from different backgrounds and different perspectives, right? We've had kids that come from the prestigious schools. We've had kids from the Catholic highs of the world and the prestigious schools. And we've had kids that come from, maybe poor backgrounds, and they come and have a chance to showcase their skills. That's what's really good about it. Different races, different backgrounds, no matter what your social status is. Like, these kids come together, and then what's the beautiful thing about this bowl game is just seeing the relationships being formed. I mean, seeing guys saying, "Hey, give me what's your phone number? We want to stay in contact with each other. What's your number? Like, how can we get in touch with each other?" Like, that's what's the awesome thing. It's not only about getting your name out there, but it's also just forming relationships, forming new friends, and then giving the experience. Because, like, hey, no matter if you play college football or not, this is what it's going to be like when you're in college. Your parents are not going to be there by your side. You're going to have to go out on your own. You're going to have to do stuff on your own. You're going to have to be around people you never met. Like, how do you handle that situation? Some people thrive in it and some people don't. And that's what the bowl game does.
One of the bonds that I've seen created too are these coaches. It seems like it's a yearly reunion for a lot of these coaches that are down there coaching on it too. And look, this is a bowl game, but they take pride in those wins and losses.
Oh, they do. It means something not only to the coaches, but to Andy and Marcus. Like, I am reminded probably 2 or 3 times a week how that Andy is the better GM than Marcus is, because.
But you're not reminded by that from Marcus. Marcus isn't the one reminding you that.
No, Andy is. I'm getting a reminder from Andy every single week, but but he's got the bragging rights for a year, and that's another thing about it. So now it's Marcus' turn. Like, hey, Marcus, you got to step up to the plate. He's got that 1-0 record over you, so they compete against each other, and the coaches. I mean, it means something. JT. I know JT's watching the show. He was bragging about being undefeated.
That's correct.
So he knows and he's right now recruiting the junior high aspect of it as well, getting the junior high kids there. And I know we're going to add a little wrinkle into it this year, so it's going to be more of a bragging rights just from the areas. Right now, we got 3 teams. We got a North Louisiana team, a Central Louisiana team, and a South Louisiana team. And we're going to play, like a round robin for the right to see who is the best area talent of the future when it comes to those 3 locations with the middle school side.
Well, we're excited about it. Folks will be able to catch that game pay-per-view. We are honored to bring that to you again. It's been fun. I hate that we missed the one out in Gulf Shores. Weren't able to make that one. And what a game that was. The storm came in and got it moved up and all that. But you made ESPN out of that game.
Yeah. we found it was the Andy Bryson and Jace LeJeune broadcast experience, and not the top of the line, but we found a way. Let's just say we found a way, and we're glad we get y'all guys back.
Well, we're excited. So if you had to list your top 2 favorite moments in the bowl games that you've had, and then we'll let you go after that, what are your 2 favorite moments you think, if you had it?
So last year there was a kid from Southwest. There was 2 from last year for sure. I want to go over, or maybe yeah. So one of them was actually a kid from Southwood, and this is why I love doing this. He came up to me after the game when it was all said and done, everything was over with, and he came up to me in tears, saying, "Jace, I want to thank you and Nanny for giving me the opportunity to do this. Like, I came from Southwood. We didn't win a lot of games, but just to show me that y'all trusted me and gave me the opportunity. I can't thank y'all enough." And he was in tears. It's like that's
Yeah.
what you do it for. Like that moved me there after the game. Like that was awesome. And then just seeing Braden George, I called all his highlights.
Right.
I called all his touchdowns for Episcopal throughout this whole senior season, and then to be the PA and call his last touchdown in
Yeah.
high school, that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool experience. So those are 2 of my favorite ones. But there's a lot of great moments, and hopefully I'm going to try to say my voice a little bit more this year. I mean, I think I couldn't speak the next day. I can tell you that. With especially before the game, calling every individual player running out. But it's a fun experience, and that was really cool to do the PA for that, and that was a blast.
Well, look, you're right. It does it by the time the game got there, after 4 hours of media night, after late night video chopping up, and after all of those, when the game gets there, it's fine. Look, I don't talk for 2 days after this week is over
No,
with, and my
no,
wife just absolutely loves it. She thinks it's the greatest 2 days of the year. But if I had to pick my number 1 favorite moment out of all of it, was rock paper scissors for the coin toss a
oh
couple
yeah,
of years ago
I
at
was just
Southwestern.
before I came along. Yep.
Yep, that was a lot of fun. Nobody had the coin to flip, so they rock paper scissors it, and I've tried to get them to stick with that the entire time, and they haven't done that. So we need to find a different game for the coin toss itself. Add a little bit,
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Dub. I'll brainstorm with Andy. We'll think of some idea that we can do to make the coin toss more entertaining. We add the XFL. Well, I guess it's now the NFL kickoff rule, and
Right.
I think that worked out great last year. We're going to be doing that again, and I think the band as well, having Liberty come in and perform, and they're going to add an extra band, and hopefully get more of a battle of the bands between the 2 throughout the game, and I think that added something extra something to the game as well. And it just came. It felt like a college game. I mean, in terms of the atmosphere and the bands and like you saw how competitive everybody was on the field. It
Oh
brings
yeah.
out the most of everybody. And like I said, like I tell all our volunteers this. I tell everybody this. Like you're going to hate us. You're going to hate us for like all week, and like you go. It's like, man, I can't wait for this to be over with. But once it's over with, you're going to go back and say, man, that was fun. I want to do this again. And when the ball kicks off for the senior game, it was all worth it. I mean, those couple of days all year long, getting ready for this football game, it makes you appreciate it a little bit more, and it was really all worth
Sorry about that. I got kicked out of there. The phone rang.
it.
That was look, Coach Bachman working on logistics for that trip down there this weekend. So I'm
There we
gonna
go.
step off. We've been there. We're working on about an hour. We'll be down Friday for that game and look forward to visiting with you. We'll fire the cameras up and we'll do a little live update from there, a little Gridiron football /
Sure.
446 update.
Absolutely, that'll be great. I love. I thank y'all for having me on, and I really appreciate y'all's support as well of Gridiron football and what we do for the kids. And y'all do a great job with the football games as well. I still get comments to this day about what great job y'all do with the streaming of the game. And we always love for y'all to come down and stream not only the game, but y'all do a great job with the coverage from the draft to the practices, and we love to have y'all guys. So anything we can do for y'all, just let us know.
Looking forward to it. It's the best way to end the year that we can think about it. Jace LeJeune joins us here. I know you got a busy week ahead of you, as we all do. A busy couple of weeks on there. It's the most wonderful time of the year, my friend. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Absolutely, Doug. Well, I'll see you all at the Dome.
Yes, sir. Guys, that'll wrap it up for us. We will see you Friday. Actually, we'll see you Thursday night for the Thomas Bachman Show. We'll see you Friday night with some live stuff. And then Saturday at noon, we'll kick things off. Our pregame will go on at 11. We'll have audio coverage for you of that. It's been a lot of fun. The Dome for the Holidays edition here is on us. Guys, that's it. We'll see you next time. God bless you all and good night.